a lot going on in such a small garden. I'm a little upset with myself that a lot of the manure that I got, the composted manure I got in, isn't completely composted. So it still had a lot of grass seed, and it's that very thick, heavy kind of grass. I don't know what the name for it, but and I wasn't keeping on top of it. So there's a couple of places where the roots of it got really entangled with the flowers, and when I pulled it, I pulled the whole plant up. But it is what it is, and in both places I had lots of extra, so the holes aren't going to be too noticeable. But it's hard to think that these flowers are kind of on their last legs. I mean, it's mid-August, so I've got maybe a month left with them, 2-3 weeks. The chamomile's already starting to go to seed, and you can see some of these others are fading. My lisianthus in here is on its last legs, but man, I've been glad to have those this year. I'm going to make sure to keep those every year, but next year I'm going to stake them so that they don't tip all over and disappear into the cosmos. A lot of this is actually annuals. So what we see here now won't be here next year. So like this entire bed is annuals. This bed here is all annuals, unless I put that yarrow plant. There's I don't know if you can see, a deadish yarrow plant in there. I say deadish because once it started getting rained on, despite my neglect, it started putting out leaves. And the same with the Baptisia that I also woefully ignored. So I'm gonna get that planted. Baptisia you got to be careful with, because once you plant it, it's planted. My mom had always said, well, you can't transplant Baptisia. Well, last year I found out the reason you can't transplant Baptisia is the root ball gets to be about this big and this deep. So you basically need a backhoe to be able to transplant it. It's not that the plant won't let you transplant it, it's just the logistics of it. So I bought that as a nitrogen fixer for the front orchard. So I've got to figure out where I want to put that. And I still have half a dozen plants that need to go in the ground. But that's good enough for now, and I can refresh the flowers in the house and get on with my day. All right, we're on a bit of a speed round right now. I've got a couple of jobs I'd like to do. It's 5:15 and I have someplace to be at 7. So we're gonna see how much we can knock out in that amount of time. First thing, I want to get the rest of the beekeeping equipment out of the basement and into the shed. So let's grab the mower and the wagon and get moving. Task number 2. I realized that it's been over a week since my last hive inspection, and I haven't gotten out to put the additional hive body on Villainy and the feeder on Scum. So we're going to go do that right now if I can get my smoker to light. Well, Villainy lived up to its name. I hardly had the hive open, and they were already charging at me. I wish they weren't my most productive hive, so I could wish ill on them, but I think they're going to do just fine, as long as I stay out of their hair. So I guess that's a good working relationship. I leave them alone, they leave me alone. Eventually we both get honey out of it. I don't know. All right, the next job, it is 6 o'clock. I want to at least go out and get the holes dug for the trees. Maybe I'm just doing this in small bites over the next 3 days, but by the end of this weekend, I am going to have those trees planted and fenced. I had a couple of people comment on ways to make digging these holes easier. Wait till it's wet, use a different shovel, things like that. I want to show you what I'm working with here, and this is apparently very common to this region. This is what I took out of what may be a 1 foot deep hole, and it's 50% rocks. And it's not the kind of rocks where, oh, you hit a hard spot and you just change locations. This is everywhere, and it doesn't matter how much you move or what you do, this Scrabble fill is everywhere. The only way to deal with it is basically to take a sharp shovel, work it in under those stones, and use that to lever them out, which will loosen up the soil, and then you can take more out. And I actually, on both these holes, was able to use that to my advantage because some of the bigger stones actually broke the turf as they were levered up out of the soil. So I was able to make the holes bigger than I might have. It is only 6:15, so I definitely have time to get the compost in these holes and get the trees planted. I don't have cardboard prepared yet, so I don't know if I'll have time to get them mulched tonight. But I did bring the fencing out. I don't have the T-posts to support them yet, but I can at least put them around it as a temporary block, and I'll put those in tomorrow when I come out and do the compost, the mulching. Of course, I picked the hottest day this week to do this, but it's been weighing on my mind, so I'm glad to have it done. So I just need to come out here with the cardboard and the mulch and the T-posts, and that'll get this finished. So I should be able to knock that out tomorrow. I do have a couple of things tomorrow. We've got the Harvest Festival for the Butternut Valley is tomorrow, and I want to go check that out and maybe do a little yard sailing. But I spaced these trees out deliberately for two reasons. One, theoretically, if they do well, they're going to get to be pretty big trees. So I wanted them to have enough space to grow. But the other thing I wanted was I wanted my grandchildren or my grandchildren's children to be able to hang a hammock here. So this is spaced about 15 feet apart, which is just perfect for a hammock. And that's who these trees are planted for. They're planted for future generations, with the idea that when the pine tree back there dies and falls over and becomes firewood, these will be established, and any kids in the family can use this hopefully to hang a rope swing to jump into the pond, or to lay in the hammock and collect nuts and all sorts of things. So these two trees are definitely planted for future generations rather than for me, but I'm okay with that. My kids like to remind me that there may not be future generations, but I'm holding out hope. No pressure, but holding out hope. I think that's going to do it for me. It's 6:30, so I got that all done in a pretty good amount of time. If I had the cardboard, I'd finish it up tonight just to be done with it, but I don't, so I'm going to go make dinner and go meet my friends. So I hope you have a lovely night, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Good morning. So it was raining this morning. You can kind of see the clouds heading off. So I didn't get out and do the mulching this morning, but I'll come back and do it this afternoon. This morning I have a million errands to run, including I have to check and make sure I brought my shopping list. I did not. Let me go back in the house and get that. I need to go to the UPS store. I need to go grocery shopping. I need to pick up my feed and hay, straw from my local supplier. And it's the West Oneonta, or East Oneonta yard sale day. So I want to go check that out. I've got a bunch of changes coming to the farm over the next couple of months. Some happening a little sooner than I'd expected. It's all good, but now I kind of have to be getting ready for them when I hadn't expected I needed to yet. So I'm going to do a lot of running around this morning. I think I'm also going to go to the Cooperstown Farmers Market. So I'll do that running around, and then I'll come back and get some farm work done. Morning. So we are on a bit of a speed run this morning because the weather is still looking questionable. Hang on just 1 second, I gotta fix this fence. So I've got a bunch of stuff that I need to / want to get done this morning. And not a lot of time to get it done in. We need to get those trees mulched. I've got a bunch of feed and mulch straw in the car. I need to get that moved to where it needs to be. And what else have I got? Oh, I want to start working on the compost ring in the chicken yard. We've only got a couple of hours before the rain is supposed to start. Although, as ominous as the sky looks, it looks like it could start at any time. So basically, we're just going to crank through, get as much done as we can, and hope we beat the rain. Right, the humidity has gotten to a point where it has crushed all my desire to do anything. Which is okay. I got the primary things done that I needed to get done. The only thing that's still outstanding is setting up the composting ring in the chicken run. And that'll keep. So I am going to do something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, and that my mother is going to be horrified to hear that I am doing. She and I have been following on the Facebook farm swap group that meets out a little more east of us, about an hour east of here. And we've been looking at all the cute animals and the plants and all the goodies that they have. And I'm gonna go. I'm tired of just looking at the pictures. I'm not planning to buy anything, but I'm prepared to buy anything. I'm only bringing the small carrier, so I won't come home with a sheep, but I just want to be prepared just in case. I'm not planning to bring anything home except maybe some plants. There's somebody who says they have grapevines, so if I could get a couple more grapevines, I might do that. But I don't want to sit around the house all day, so let's take a road trip.
You are a very chill little boy.
Grapevines, although there were a couple of rabbits that were very tempting, and a couple of folks had cooney pigs. Not this year. I'm not ready this year, but it definitely gave me some good insight into what's available and for what price. I'm not breeding show stock. That's too much effort for me. So I don't need $200 bloodlines. Now I might do that when I get my fiber rabbits, just so I know that they're good fiber producers. But for meat rabbits, really you can use just about anything. The most popular combination that I see, a lot of these rabbits are crossbreeds, and a lot of them that I see are various meat rabbits crossed with Flemish Giants. Flemish Giant rabbits are the big giant ones. I mean, they're literally giant. They're half as tall as I am. But the problem with them is they have a lot more bones and very dense bones. So their meat to bone ratio is not great. And they take a lot more food than they produce. So the return on investment with Flemish Giant isn't great. So to see all these varieties crossed with Flemish Giant really drops their value. Now there was one gentleman here who had Californian and Rex crosses, and those are both good meat rabbits, so they would be a good addition for a meat flock. But again, I don't have my rabbitry set up yet. That's a winter-spring project that I want to work on. And Crow's giving me insight into how to set that up, the best way to set that up, because they're the one that did 4 years of 4-H, and they're my rabbit expert. So I was very tempted by some of the ducks, but again, I don't have the infrastructure set up. But I would love to have a small flock of ducks on the far side of the pond there. Again, that'll be next year. And the other thing with the meat rabbits here is they're going for $10, $15 each. Whereas these purebred show rabbits that I'm seeing were going for $75, $100. Again, for meat rabbits, I don't need to pay that because they're gonna produce just as well, whether they're show quality or meat quality. And I'm not raising them for show, I'm raising them for the freezer. So I don't need to spend an exorbitant amount of money to get started in rabbits. Once I get down the line, maybe, yeah, I'll decide I want to breed for show and have the added expense. But if I'm just raising them for meat, then cheap is better. So this was definitely worth the drive. There was a lot more vendors than I expected. I thought there was supposed to be a baker here, and there was no baked goods, so I was very disappointed about that. And you saw the variety. You name it, whatever you're looking for, somebody here has got it or can get it for you. So this was definitely worth the drive. I'm glad I drove out. The humidity is rising and the skies are getting darker, so I'm just going to try and get home and beat the storm.